Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so I want to do a Laker chat video because, well, we're approaching the 15th of the month, and that means that certain players that we were looking to be able to trade would be eligible for that. So, a lot of the things that I'm hearing right now are just kind of preliminary in regards to, not really rumors of anything, just mostly the conversation is what we would hope to see the Lakers acquire. And right now, what the Lakers have is a need for wings. I was listening to Trevor Lane just now, and he was essentially saying that very thing. The Lakers need to go ahead and try to do everything they can to find a wing as soon as humanly possible because, as I mentioned a couple times on my videos, I just don't think we really function well without Wenyen Gabriel. One of the players that we have on this team who is out right now with an injury of some sort, and as a result, we just haven't been able to rebound the ball the same way, defend the same way. We've been mostly leaning on small ball rotations because of our lack of size with some of our role players that we just don't want to rely upon for that. I don't want to say we anymore because I do want to rely upon those guys a bit more than the guys who we have been relying upon, to be honest with you. I do want to see us put other players on the floor to give ourselves an opportunity to not necessarily be so small because we don't have to be. And I don't know if what I'm saying can actually be done. It's kind of hard to find the information necessary to know if it would be as easy as simply calling guys up from the G League to have them play on in your team. But there should be some flexibility negotiated for that going forward with the collective bargaining negotiations coming up. As a fan, I would like them to have a bit more maneuverability so that players can be interchangeable amongst those two leagues. This is the biggest problem the Lakers have right now. We can't put a simple functioning starting five on the floor because of our construction issues. And while those construction issues were deliberate going into the season, they don't necessarily have to be managed in the way that we're managing them if we're not something keeping us from being able to swap some of these guys out with some of the G League players that would give us more size and, dare I say, more dynamic play in some cases. As I've mentioned, our team down there in the G League, the South Bay team, last I checked, they were on a 7-game winning streak. What does that tell me? That tells me that the players down there are balling, man. That tells me that the guys that we have that we're not using probably could help us a lot. And so it's like we're going out here trotting Damian Jones, Kendrick Nunn, and it's like we've seen these guys struggle now for a couple weeks. Why haven't they been swapped out for other players? Why hasn't Scottie Pippen been called up? Why haven't we looked down there to see who else is down there in our G League who's playing so well? See if they can provide some of that size and some of that to help. Maybe they're giving the South Bay team. And so it's like, for the sake of just having a functioning basketball club with every roster position filled, you know what I'm saying? It's like there's no reason to be incompetent. I know that it's not as easy as swapping people out because contracts have been signed and things of that nature. But we're an NBA basketball club paying people hundreds of millions of dollars to play basketball. And one of the reasons why they can't do their job properly is because the players on the floor are just not positioned right. They're too small to even do the job. It's like, okay, the team went into the season knowing they needed to make a trade. And that's cool, as we said. But for the time being, it's not like we don't have other guys in our organization of whom we pay to play basketball who can do these things. So that's my take on it. It's like we're waiting for a trade, and that's cool. But for the time being, while we're on this road trip, how come two or three of those G League power forwards haven't been called up to help us in this unit? And don't give me continuity issues because the guys we're running out there can barely do it. You know what I mean? Oh, they're not good enough. Are you sure? You sure? Because what I'm looking at, these guys ain't either. So that is not an excuse to sit up here and say that they're G League talent. They need to stay in the G League so they can get better. Look around. So that's where I'm at as a fan. I always had that as a solution in my mind, which is why some of these roster deficiency size issues are unacceptable to me. If not for something in the way of those players actually being able to be called up and be a part of this team for 10 days or what have you. So that's what I want to see. The ability to put those players on the team at absolute need so that we don't have roster deficiency issues simple size issues, running 4 guards and a small forward as your five on the floor at any given moment when you don't want to do that, when you would rather not strategize that way, but you have to because you're missing players. Like, nah, that don't make no sense. Not when you have a G League team. No, you get a couple of them dudes on the plane and you have them play for the team. You know what I'm saying? And so that's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, my vision for how that works is probably much less complicated than it actually is. But at the same time, it needs to be less complicated so that it can work that way. It would help all organizations, every last one of them. And then to end that continuity crap issue, you have the big team and the small teams practice together. If you really want to do something, they practice with the big team once a week. Just like in football, red shirt, whatever they do it in football, where they have some guys called up that ain't really on the team. That's exactly how we do it in the NBA. Them dudes would be on the team basically running the same stuff our team is running with our guys, getting better as if they're an extension of that bench. They wouldn't be featured the same way in regards to practice, but they would be running the same stuff so that we can pick and plug them accordingly. And that our coach would have a good eyesight on what it is they cannot do from night to night to night without having to watch film. They would be with the team. So it's like this is something I would structure out if I was in a position to do that, and if I owned the team or if I had that type of control. Yeah, that farm system thing, we'd be using that like baseball, baby. In and out, in and out. You suck, you out. Go to the G League, play down there, get some minutes. Coming back from injury, you ain't coming back to the big league to come back from injury. You're gonna go down there just like they've been doing it lately, and I think that's the way it should continue. So, that's what I'm preaching, man. We can't find ourselves in a situation where we're only running 7 guys out there. You know what I'm saying? And most of them are not tall enough to even keep up with the players on the floor. That's something that doesn't have to happen at all. that should not be the case. Now, if this was before the G League existed, fine. There was nothing else you can do. But when we have a G League, you're talking about, and the South Bay Lakers have won their 7th straight game. I'm like, and I'm sitting here watching our guys struggle? Man, stop playing with me. So that's where I'm at with it. As a Laker fan, I want us to take the steps necessary, however complicated they may be, to swap some of the guys that are not so productive with some guys that can give us some upside, that are already producing down there in the G League against lesser guys. Because if they putting up a 30 and 10 down there against the lesser guys, they can at least give us 8 and 8. Okay? And that's what we're not getting from some of our guys. And I look at a guy like Troy Brown. He need to be in the G League, man. He need to be in the G League. He does. And the reason why I say that with such confidence is because he can get better down there. And he can come back and be a real player for you. But as long as he's trying to get in where he fit in, 8 minutes here, hit a couple shots, miss a couple shots, and maybe I get back on the floor, that's bull crap. He ain't never gonna get better like that. He's not. He needs to be in a situation where he can be his best self for 25, 30 minutes straight and get that type of minutes where he can get confident, start playing against guys who, you know what I mean, are going to go at him a certain way. That way, when we call him up, he can be more effective in these lineups that we have him involved in, and we can be more likely to want to play him more than we have. Because in a game like this last game, he didn't hardly help us. His confidence was kind of shaky. No, I wanted him to be somebody who came in like this. And if he had been in the G League playing with that team for the last week and a half, he would have been. And that's the point. It's like, we just gotta change our mindset about how we're doing things. Some of these dudes that came on this road trip, they should not even came on this road trip. We should have been having other players and other things set up for ourselves so that we did not have this problem at all. As soon as Wenyen Gabriel went down, if I was a GM, as soon as Wenyen Gabriel went down, I would have been calling these guys down in the G League. Because I know Juan Toscano Anderson, with all due respect, I can't rely on him. He's not a good player. A good person. He ain't that good of a player, bro. So I'm like, all right, this is when I need to see who's in the G League. Was it Paris Bass? I don't remember who all down there was. McCoy. Who can help me? Who do I know can play and who's tall, can catch a lob, rebound, and do some rim protection? If they down there, get them. If they're on another G League team, let's just say they're in Fort Worth, go through the proper paperwork and get them out of there and bring us some guys. And see, that's what pisses me off. I keep looking at these G League posts. Homie had 37 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. What the hell am I watching Kendrick Nunn for? Get that dude out of Birmingham and bring him to the damn Lakers. What are we doing? Like, this is the type of stuff I'm like, that has to be some political bullcrap there, man. That's political. When I look around, and I'm going to say names, man, with respect to guys who are running around like PJ Tucker, my guy Patrick Beverly, they're older in their career, and I'm like, but you got dude in the G League doing what? He got 25, 30, and then he gets on a team, turns into a damn all-star like Kevin Porter Jr., and then you're looking around like, or Bol, and you're looking around like, why didn't my team take a chance on him? If I could see this, and the G League stats are showing us these guys are doing crazy stuff, why doesn't my team go through the proper channels and making sure those are the guys that are on the roster instead of the people we have? Why is it that we have to shuffle through these names of guys who are, and you know damn well they, you know what I'm saying? Come on. So that's where we at. I like our unit. I'm involved, you know what I mean? As you guys see, I break it down. I'm encouraging all of that. But as a GM, when you zoom out, me, the way I am, man, I wouldn't have these dudes down there. And y'all know that. You would have names of people you've never heard of doing things that were absolutely awesome, because that's exactly how I think. I'm getting guys you ain't never heard of, and they're going to be doing things that you ain't seen being done by players who you ain't never heard of, because I'm taking chances on these dudes. That's basically what I'm saying. You're going to see them. It ain't going to be like, I mean, it's hard to say, because some of these dudes, like, they don't have roles because they have bigger stars in front of them. But like an Andrew Nembhard, I would take a chance on that dude. He would be my starting shooting guard. No problem. Give me an expansion team. I'm gonna get all these guys to play better. You know, and we're gonna work on our tendencies, just like I'll be talking about in this channel, and we're gonna get the most out of these dudes. And then the ones that I can trade to get a little better, I'm gonna trade them to get a little better. I'm gonna value my picks and all these things. Give me about 7-8 years, I'm gonna have a playoff team together. Most definitely have a playoff team. The way I think, most definitely. Because at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. You just have to get the business of basketball out the way and bring the fundamentals and the elements of basketball and in a surveillance for the field into play more so. You know, we're more worried about making sure that the players we get are aligned with the right people. If he ain't with Clutch, we ain't messing with him. Hell no, it ain't gonna help you win. You need to get the guy who ain't got nothing to do with any of that, who can just come to your team, take $1 million, and play $7 million worth of basketball. With all due respect to Clutch, they're not even looking at that guy, because if they were, he wouldn't have that lower value. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, you gotta think that way. You gotta look for the discount if you're an NBA owner. And if LeBron James wants to own an NBA team, he needs to understand this too. Bro, this hampers you. This limits what it is you can do, because you don't have access to the little dude over there who's basically Scottie Pippen. Remember Scottie Pippen? His kid is on our team, ironically. But Scottie Pippen was a guy from a little school, wasn't touted very high. They drafted him, and he turned into something, right? And of course, we know the story. But this is what you're looking for. And unless Clutch can find me those guys, they're limited. And Clutch needs to understand that. You bring high profile to the case, so you're only going to have the higher value stuff. And sometimes higher value stuff bring you lower production, as we're seeing. So it's like, it's a shift in the mindset. Like if I was someone in Clutch, I'd be like, yo, we need to find a way to be able to get those guys too, so that we're not limited in what it is we can provide the company that the teams that we're attached to. So like, for example, you're attached to the Lakers. Well, I'm a Laker fan, and I'm telling you, you're bringing me garbage. I'm not happy about it. So what needs to happen is, if you're Clutch, you need to be able to find the dudes that I want you to bring. You need to find me the dudes that you're not getting me, essentially. That's where we're at. Clutch needs to find a talent that can be of value in role-playing situations with more upside, that don't cost as much. And whoever can figure out that weird, thing right there, that whatever it is I'm trying to describe, if you can get that going, you're really gonna have a hold of the market. Because that's the problem. That's the problem we're running into. It's like, how am I unhappy, but I got Clutch as my number one, team for bringing me talent? How is it that I got the stranglehold on Clutch, who's supposed to be the biggest, team for bringing talent, and I'm unhappy as a Laker fan with the biggest market? They're like, no, something's gone wrong here. Something's gone very wrong here. So, yeah, half of it has to do with the way we constructed the team with 3 max contracts. We know that. But the other half has to do with just the great value players that they're ultimately able to give us when you don't have as much to work with. You know what I mean? Part of that I was looking at, and I was saying early in the summertime, we were talking about the way this team was constructed. I was looking at Rob Pelinka and I was assessing what it is that he was doing. And I was saying the reason why I didn't mind him getting the extension is because I didn't think that, first of all, he started his job with a blank canvas, right? As in, he had to pull his team out of a financial hole, as to which it made it so that the stuff he's able to work with now, it was at a disadvantage when it first started. So I understand why the team could suck so bad, because he had so little to work with and so many problems to start with. But my thinking was, I was cool with keeping him because the team, I thought, was pretty solid. And because you couple that with the G League players, which I thought would be interchangeable, I thought we had a chance to be able to always have what we need, even though it didn't appear we did. Because I had a lot of faith in guys like Cole Swider, Scottie Pippen, etc. So I figured we'd be able to pull them up and get some talent and some production that way. But the problem is these guys weren't producing. After I made that video saying I was cool with making an extension, we went on to lose like 8-9 games in a row, and my assessment of those players had changed. Now, since we've started to find some continuity, and I've settled into an understanding of that these guys can play well, even though they really are as limited as I thought they were. But the problem is, all the way around, is who gave us these guys? You know, assessing Rob Pelinka's job had to do with how this team was constructed and whether or not I was pleased with the overall tenure of him being here. But most of his tenure has been attached to LeBron James, which is attached to Clutch, which is attached to the issues that we have in regards to the type of talent we've got, you know, in this situation with, you know, our cap being as it is. So it's like, if you can't get me better players, then my assessment of you is based on that. Because essentially that's a problem. Like, that's the biggest problem. We have these max contract players and we can't compete. So the question has always been, who is to blame? So the understanding was Rob Pelinka was the guy, but then you start to realize it is a Clutch thing, and, you know, it's like, all right, so it's Bron then. It's Bron and Clutch. Who is to blame for why the talent isn't very good, based on them not being able to funnel us good talent at a limited value. Whoever couldn't do enough with a little is to blame. And so it's Clutch, essentially what I'm here to say. It's them. They didn't have good enough talent at a low enough price that could give us a cohesive basketball club. And so that's what they need to do to get better. Whoever it is, you know what I'm saying? That's the point. It's like, I don't mind holding whoever it is accountable. Whoever it is, that is who needs to do better. And as far as I can tell, it is Clutch. It's them. They need to do better. Don't send me these dudes to suck no more. Give me teams. If you got Cam Reddish, get him here. You feel me? Because I know y'all got some names. I didn't see the names that y'all got that I like. Why the hell they ain't here? You feel me? And so that's my thinking. That's my thinking. If we going exclusive to you, why are you sending me trash? And so that's where we at. That's exactly where we at. Genie needs to look at LeBron and say, look, these are your people. But your team is not good because we need better talent. So that's what needs to happen. Either we got to loosen up this relationship and allow us to bring other talent in, which might be a conflict to the bottom line, or y'all gonna have to bring us better talent right now. You know what I'm saying? That's how that works. And so that would be my demands as an owner. If I was on top of this thing, I'd be like, look, that's the deal. That's the deal, man. We ain't gonna do this only your guys' stuff if I keep getting stuff that ain't good enough. I gotta be able to go in other directions and get some of the stuff that maybe ain't politically aligned. Maybe some of these guys don't know of Clutch, but I know damn of them. You feel me? I know of them. I see they're playing well. What's in the way of me getting them? Why as a Laker fan don't I have that player on my team? You see what I'm saying? And so if Clutch is the person I need to ask that to, or if that's the company rather that needs to be asked that's what's happening here. Why is that? You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I'm at with that. That's exactly where I'm at with that. So as I look at the GM, I'm like, I don't know how to assess Rob Pelinka now no more than I did when I made the video. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if he didn't have no say-so in what it is that we got or who it is that we got, or you can only get it from Clutch, and they ain't giving him nothing, it's like, what do you want him to do? You know what I'm saying? What do you want him to do? And most importantly, how do I assess what he's capable of doing? How do I know he was any good or any bad at it at all? No way to know. Zero way to assess it. And I'm not comfortable with that as a fan. I don't like not knowing who to blame. I don't like having to guess and read tea leaves to try to maybe find the person accountable for why this team is not necessarily where it needs to be. And so that's something I think Jeanie Buss ultimately is to blame for. Because if I don't know who to blame, it's definitely on you. You feel me? Like, let's just keep it real. It's if at the end of the day, the person who's signing the checks is ultimately responsible for everything. And so she's made these exclusive deals. She's allowed the people around her who she's allowed and all of that. And it's all good as it pertains to her feeling comfortable with people and all. That's a personal thing. As a fan, I like her to be comfortable. It's all good in that way. But for me, it's just like if it hurts the team and we're not winning, then it becomes a situation where it's like, well, how much can we really celebrate all of it? The process of what, or rather the system that she has in place. How can I be appreciative of it when we don't have enough? We're asking too much of our guys, and then it's a weird kind of space where we're blaming people for stuff, and we don't really know if it's their fault. So, yeah, I'd like that to all go away. Yeah, I really would. As a fan, I would like that to not be the case. So that's where I'm at with it. I just want to come up here and say those things. I think the Lakers are in a position to kind of bounce back in this road trip on a high note tonight against the Detroit Pistons team at 3 o'clock up here. I have a video there I made earlier today. You guys can check it out and see my little reaction to that. It took me too long to mention Saddiq Bey's name in that video, but it's definitely important that we keep an eye on the shooting of Saddiq Bey and Bogdanovic and all those guys in this game. And also, I do not know who all will actually end up playing for this game. Both AD and Braun were said to be probable for this game, but as I understand, of course, Braun lost his coach, Paul Silas, today. So I don't know. It all depends on where he'll want to be mentally there, and you know what I mean? That's just it. So for this road trip, for who we are, I think this is a very important game. I think we're looking up, we're coming home, and with no breath of relief, no sigh of relief is what I was trying to say. When you get back home, you got the Boston Celtics. And we know the Boston Celtics just got embarrassed by the Golden State Warriors. I don't know who they see between now and then, but they're probably looking at us as a team that they can beat to probably either end their road trip or near the end of their road trip, because I know they've been on the road for a little while now. So if we can catch them, maybe they can be a little tired, a little worn down. Obviously, we're tired and worn down too, but that's an important game. I don't give a dang where they are in the standings. Anytime we go up against these rivals, I feel the same way about the Pistons tonight. Anytime we go up against some of these legendary rivals that we've had these issues with, cross-conference rivals that we've been in finals battles with, I just want to see us approach those games with a unique understanding that it don't matter how good the team is or how bad the team is, you're expected to win those games. You understand what I'm saying? And I feel like those who are on both sides as fan bases, you feel the same way. I don't care if the Celtics is the best team in the league, and I don't care if we're the worst team in the league. That's the game you win, if at all possible. And you certainly don't let them embarrass you like they did in the finals of several years of this. So as it pertains to the Celtics and the Pistons, it's a personal games for our fan base. And in the presence of all this nonsense, it might have got lost by, for a lot of people, but not for me. Not for me. This fan is very much intent on expressing my disdain for both of the franchises that we're going to be seeing both today and the next game as well, the Pistons. And I don't have a name for the Celtics, but they are who they are. So, yeah, we need to definitely beat both of those teams if at all possible and not embarrass ourselves in any way. And so that's what I'm going to say, man. We're reaching the Kobe minute. Salute to Kobe, of course, and to the family there and all the families lost in that situation. We're still mourning that. I don't think mourning ever really ends in that regard. But we certainly take what the Mamba gave us and apply it. He hated the Celtics. The Pistons took a championship from him too. So we need to think about him tonight as we continue to march forward against these teams. That's what I'll say. That's how I feel, man. Think about him. What would Kobe do? He'd go out there and he'd annihilate his opponent. That's what he'd do. He'd stay focused. And so that's what we need to do, both on the court and off it. So that's what I got to say, man. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.